Crypto cats, my name is Tom. I am the crypto investor, and it's time for my weekly market roundup. If you're new here, this is where I take the week's news and I condense it down into one calorie-rich nugget for your digestion. First, we start with the heat map of the top 100 tokens in crypto, and you can see that it's disgusting. What a horrific week we have endured in crypto. We have ETH down 24% on the week, Bitcoin down 16%. Most of the layer ones down an average of 30%, as are most of the other cryptos. Of course, stablecoins are flat because that's their job. When we look at the bubbles, it's much the same. We can see that for the week, the average really is around a 35% drop in the total market. When we look over at the TVL, the total value locked on these different chains, you can see that massive drop in capital locked on the chains, apart from this one big shining beacon here, Phantom, which has added 60% of its capital. So it is now 12 billion of TVL. So keep your eyes on Phantom and what is going on there. That is the success story of this week, and there's not many success stories this week. Hecko, I'm not sure about, but they've also added 50% under their belt. All right, so what's going on? Why are we bleeding so hard? Well, most people, generally, the consensus is that this is contagion due to the fear that we're seeing in the traditional financial world. If you look very quickly at the NASDAQ, you can see that this is the top 100 tech companies in the US. You can see that we had a drop, then we had a doji, an uncertain candle. Then this week we had this monumental sell-off in tech. Well, not monumental, but significant. An 8% drop for the week for tech. And what's kind of concerning is we've ended right at the low of that session, which typically means continuation is the most likely outcome. It's not certainty in any way, but it's not a good look. And that means that the higher risk assets are what are selling off the most, and there aren't more higher risk assets than crypto. The idea is, of course, that the Fed are raising interest rates, and they're meant to kind of gradually ease us into this belief that it's going to be a gentle increase in rise, but inflation is forcing their hand, and they may have to slam on the brakes and send us investors through the window. And so this is generally what is happening, and this is why you're seeing that run to the exits in risk assets and people moving to money, to cash and to safer assets whilst they wait for kind of clarity of what is happening. Okay, so let's give you some hopium. All right. We know that this year is a big year for Ethereum, of course. We have the merged Ethereum 2.0 will be happening around April, May time. And look at this. This is the total transaction fees that's generated on ETH compared to other chains. You can see how far ahead ETH is on that. And actually Uniswap coming in second compared to Bitcoin, which is quite amazing to see. This is a DEX it's built on Ethereum, for goodness sake. But then I like this, and this helps me to kind of focus and realize, this is where the value sits as an investor when we have all these different investment options in the world available to us. And you see that the total fees that Visa are doing or collecting is 24 billion, but ETH is already doing 10 billion in fees and growing like this, whereas Visa is probably growing like this. And so, which as an investor are you more inclined to be buying into? The one which obviously has this steep growth ahead of it. And how long until total fees of ETH overtakes that of Visa? And then you look at total transaction volume, and you can see that ETH is doing more transactions than Visa. We have $11.6 trillion worth of transactions settled on Ethereum and $10.4 trillion of transactions settled on Visa. It's pretty incredible, I think. Okay, so anyway, then it's quite a good article. I'll link this below if you want to read more about that. So more hopium for you. You have Coinbase partnering with MasterCard to let users buy directly into NFTs. It's just nice that MasterCard are effectively they're considering these digital assets. They're not stopping the availability of speculators to buy into NFTs, which is really good. And massive adoption is coming from NFTs effectively. It's what we didn't realize would be our Trojan horse into the crypto world. We thought it would be DeFi and high yields, but it's people wanting NFTs. And Twitter has finally launched what we talked about a few months ago on this channel, which is the option to change your profile picture to an NFT. And to confirm that is the case, so just to show you, I've just picked some random guy out, floridaman.eth, and you can see that he has a hexagonal profile picture, and a hexagonal one shows that it's an NFT. And you can click on that, and then it shows us here, it's linked to his NFT profile. I can go and view it on OpenSea and see details about what NFT it is and the contract code, and confirm that legitimately this is a real Bored Ape. It's not a right-click save. You have to pay $3 a month to Twitter to have this facility available to you, but Twitter won't be the last to do this. And have I organized my... No, I haven't organized my tabs perfectly, but the one I wanted to share with you is the fact that Facebook and Instagram are also looking to do the same. Twitter have about 1/10 of the users of Facebook and Instagram. So the potential of Facebook and Instagram jumping into this space. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that price goes up and down, and that is noise. A signal is the long-term adoption. The price, you can think of kind of price as weather that is moving dramatically around, but the climatic change is the signal, the adoption curve. And so really you need to focus on the long-term adoption here. The price will whipsaw around due to the headwinds from the Fed. But the fact that we have this, this is some of the biggest news that we've had in crypto of the last 12 months, to be honest. The fact that another 2 billion users are going to have the opportunity to flex through NFTs, what they're into. I just see it as massive signal. So anyway, more signal. This is a $4.5 billion fund raise in crypto. It's a huge amount of money to see from VC capital coming into this space. It just shows that long term, the big money is very bullish on it. FTX have also raised $2 billion venture capitalist fund to invest into Web3. Big signal. Google preparing a foray into crypto, planning to expand a payment division and build out that. They recognize that this is the future. Big signal. Walmart quietly preparing to enter the metaverse. They're adding NFTs. These are going to work as loyalty cards effectively. If you've got your Walmart NFT on your phone, as you pay, then you get X discount or opportunities to coupons or whatever it might be. I don't know, but it will be happening, and we've seen the same with Budweiser. I think they've just bought a noun NFT, which is quite cool for Budweiser. And the same, your Budweiser NFT will give you access to get into a VIP section of a festival or whatever it might be. The use cases are endless. Onto some more of the FUD kind of news this week. Crypto.com has they were hacked to I believe it was 16 million in the end, which is small fry really, and not really going to impact them a great deal, but there is a hack there. It's the first big exchange we've had hacked in a long time. These days, exchanges are very different to what they were back in 2017. They all have much better security measures in place. They all tend to keep 99% of their crypto in cold storage, unavailable to be hacked by users. But there is some rumors that this may have been an inside job, so there we go. And continuing FUD, Russia making more and more noises that they do intend to ban crypto currencies and mining in Russia. And we've seen this from other totalitarian countries such as China. It undermines their own monetary policy and their control over their citizens, and so of course they will take exception with this. And so will be the go. And long term, they will probably lose as a nation state by taking this path. But hey, Giga Chad Nayib Bukele of El Salvador has just bought another 410 Bitcoin for only $15 million. He just keeps on adding to their stack. Hopefully he lands on the right side of history as being a genius and transforming El Salvador's fortunes. It's a big play. I don't know what it represents as their the country's reserves, but it must be a fair bit. Good luck to him. If in doubt, we zoom out, and you can see here on the logarithmic chart of Bitcoin on the rainbow scale that, okay, we're now in quite a nice accumulation area. Anywhere down here in these prices are generally a good time to be adding to your position, dollar cost average into Bitcoin. And this is still a chart that is very much going up and to the right. It just never happens in a straight line. And we'll look in a bit more detail at the charts and what's going on here. But it doesn't look quite so terrifying when you look at it on macro time frames and on logarithmic scales. And people always ask, like, why am I so optimistic? It's because I'm looking 5-10 years ahead at crypto. I do not go on margin. I only spot invest. I don't have leverage. I don't borrow against my portfolio more than 20% at any time. And so I can afford to have long-term patience and conviction in recognizing that this technology, it is a paradigm shift, and the adoption is going to continue to come towards it. So that's why I'm not too panicked. It's a shame. I don't like losing vast sums of money this week, but I'm very much in it for the long term, and I recognize it as an opportunity. I just wish I have more liquidity to be able to buy at these prices personally. Also, just zooming out, we're looking at ETH on that same logarithmic chart, and again, if we continue on these trajectories, we're looking at ETH around $6,000 to $8,000 by the end of the year, which I don't think is too improbable whatsoever. Don't forget this year that ETH will become deflationary. Don't forget the amount of adoption we're seeing in NFTs. I still think it's a very, very high possibility that we get that. All right, so I wanted to just take some focus on the charts initially on the stock market. And I know, this is a crypto channel. I mentioned, of course, the NASDAQ making this kind of large move down. And we've seen companies like Netflix has done a similar thing. Netflix had a earnings miss. They didn't add as many users this quarter as hoped. They've dropped 45% in value over the last couple of months. And then other of the stocks which have been very, very popular during the lockdown period, such as Peloton, at-home gym stuff, they are down 85% from their high. You think crypto is risky, and Bitcoin, okay, what are we, 50% down from our high? But Zoom, another example, 74% down from their high. And I think what I wanted to kind of convey in this is that if you have conviction with what you're buying, and you understand its use case and its long-term potential, then don't allow price action to push you off and from your beliefs. A very nice example is this. We're looking at Amazon in the .com bubble, and you can see that if you're holding Amazon in 1998 and you got yourself a really nice 1,400% return in your money and you failed to take profits, you'd be feeling pretty bad about it when your Amazon stock dropped 96% over the coming year or two, or year. And then you zoom out, and we can reset this chart. And here we are. There's our move in 2000. Okay, I know I'm showing you a very extreme example, but after your big, if you had sold at the top and never re-entered your Amazon position, you'd have missed out on a 2,500% move, or at one point a 3,300% move. So it's really important to get some perspective that even the best investments of our modern time have been through these kind of drops. And if you, like me, have done your research and you believe in these assets and the utility that they're offering us, then stick with them, have conviction, dollar cost average in, recognize that now is an excellent time to be adding to your position. No one can time the bottom perfectly, just like no one can time the top perfectly. It's much easier to try to just dollar cost average in on a monthly basis into those assets that you have conviction with. All right. So we're looking here at the total market cap of crypto. So this is all of the crypto added together. We're now valued at $1.6 trillion. And the reason that the drop this week was particularly unpleasant is because unless we get a bounce in the next 10 hours or so, we're going to close below this trend line. You can see that we've held this nice upward trend line for the past nearly 500 days or so. And it's looking like we may close below it. And so that scares some people. It makes it feel like it's a momentum shift. So we would like to see a bounce, and for this just to be a candle wick, and for the actual body of the bar to close above the 1.75 trillion. It's a big ask on a Sunday afternoon for everyone to be aping back in. We will see how it goes. We are seeing some buying today, at least. We are green today in the markets after the large sell-off on Saturday. Looking at Bitcoin, if you saw my tweet during the week, I did say that I felt we're at a very significant inflection point, this crossroads here. We were either going to break above this downward trend line, and that would have shown a sign of a recovery that could have seen us to a new all-time high, or we were going to break down below this, and unfortunately we did get that breakdown. I can lose my arrows now. And now I would say that we're into a pretty good area of buying, where we've seen, the more noise that you have in these areas, typically the more resistance that they tend to offer. So I would say, don't come to me for your technical analysis. I'm just a macro guy giving you this broad news. And by the way, I am just a guy on the internet. This is not financial advice. Oh, and I forgot to ask you to please press the like button. That'd be lovely, thank you. And comment. Really like reading your comments. So yeah, when I look at this, I think most probable is that we're going to get something. Maybe we get a test of 30,000 and aggressive buyers come in. I wouldn't be surprised if we get another kind of consolidation just that we've seen here, and then I expect to break back up eventually in time. I don't see this as completely breaking down personally. This week we do have the FOMC meeting, and what we've seen in the stock markets is what's called a taper tantrum. It's where the market says, well, fuck you, Fed. How could you do this to us? And drops. And so the Fed's then put in this place where they have to be a little bit more dovish with their tone, basically saying, all right, we're not going to raise the interest rates quite so aggressively to appease the stock market and make it happy. So I know they're in a very, very tricky position because inflation at 7% is becoming more of a concern to people than the stock market dropping, which they don't feel is well, it's the inflation is affecting your 90% of people who are living more on the breadline, and the stock market, even though it's everyone's retirement, is more affecting that top 10% or so. So inflation is becoming more important. Anyway, I expect we'll probably see a period of time down here, maybe February or so, we start to move back up. But for me, you're not going to time it perfectly at the bottom. Just dollar cost average in bit by bit, in the same way that it's good to be dollar cost averaging out as we make all-time highs. Looking at Ethereum, much the same. We need today to get that move another 10% up to close above this trend line. Feels improbable. It's possible, it's crypto, but I don't think we're going to get it. You could probably draw a similar area like this, where there's been a lot of noise in the past, and all of this represents a fairly good buy zone for ETH. I'm not sure we're going to get there. I've personally already begun dollar cost averaging in. I bought a little bit more at 2,350. One thing I did want to draw your attention to is that when we measure from the July low that we hit with Ethereum, we are 43% up from there as an asset, which matches the same as the total crypto. This is back to the total market cap of all the crypto, which is around the same, 41% up. Whereas Bitcoin itself is, from those July highs, only really 20% or so up. So Bitcoin is suffering harder than most. And the winners really have been a few of these new L1s. Cosmos has been looking good and adding market share. Phantom, as I mentioned, due to all that TVL added, has increased its dominance within the market. up to 0.4%, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Phantom continuing to push higher on the back of this. And when we look at Ethereum versus Bitcoin, you can see that generally when we do get these sell-offs in the market, people go for the more safe haven assets. On the way up, Ethereum will do better than Bitcoin. On the way down, Bitcoin tends to do better. And so you can see we have come back down, and Ethereum has lost 11% versus Bitcoin this week, which is quite a significant move. If we do come and touch this trend line here, I have an alert set. I will share it on Twitter. If you're not following me, Desert Island Tom, that'll be a lovely time to switch some Bitcoin into Ethereum if you have that patience, or if you're still holding any Bitcoin, that is. I personally am not. So yeah, we'll be looking there to see if we can get a bounce off this upward trend line. DeFi selling off pretty hard. Metaverse versus Ethereum selling off a bit versus Ethereum, as you'd imagine, because it's a higher risk asset. Luna still looking okay, and when you actually look at dominance of Luna, look at this. This is how much of the total market Luna represents. It's almost looking at a new all-time high, just a little bit away from an all-time high for Terra Luna. So even though you might be sad to see your Terra Luna down at 67, actually where it is in valued against the rest of crypto, it's almost at an all-time high. So just something to be aware of. Cardano, not a fan of myself, but it has managed to increase its dominance in the market. I believe there was actually some utility, some kind of marketplace on Cardano. And so we did see Cardano increasing its dominance. That has come back down a bit, and we now have a bit of a doji. But there are some signs of life after this huge slip that we did see in Cardano dominance, where it dropped 50%. So we'll see where it goes from there. Okay. And that really is that, Crypto Cats. If you found this in any way valuable, please do press like. I try to provide these roundups for you every Sunday. I've got lots of other videos which you'll see around here that you might be interested in. Great to see so many new subscribers. Thank you, Crypto Cats. Thank you very much for joining and joining the channel. And I look forward to speaking to you soon. All the best.